Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm going to be basically talking you through and showing you how I do my perfect foundation routine. So basically I am literally a foundation hoarder. I have so many foundations. It's one of my favourite kind of makeup products to try out. I always love trying new foundations. I have so many, just so you can get a little bit of an idea how many foundations, I actually have. Oh my god, I need to put these down, they're hurting me. That is how many foundations I have. I would say there's probably about 30 plus different foundations that I currently own. Yeah, I have a bit of a problem. I love foundation. I just love trying new foundations. It's just one of my favourite products to try out and to buy, and I just will continue probably to buy more foundation, even though I have enough to literally cover my face for the next 5 years. However, I feel like now I have found my absolute perfect foundation routine. The foundation sort of combo and routine that I'm going to show you is literally my favourite out of any foundation sort of routine that I've ever tried before, and I basically wanted to share it with you because I've never done a kind of like in-depth foundation routine on my channel before, because basically I didn't really have a perfect foundation routine that I had found that I absolutely loved sort of like everything about it. Now I found that, I'm going to show you that in today's video. So that was the longest intro ever. I don't really know why I was rambling so much. Let's stop rambling and just get straight on into it. I'm going to show you from sort of start to finish the products I like to prep my skin with, and then all the way through until sort of like bronzer and blusher. I'm not going to be doing eyes and eyebrows in this video, just literally going to be focusing on skin. So obviously with any kind of foundation routine, or when you're applying any foundation, you want to make sure your skin is nice and prepped, hydrated, moisturized, smooth. So if you haven't exfoliated your skin in a little while, I would definitely recommend exfoliating your skin just to make sure all the dead skin cells are off and it's nice and smooth, ready for your moisturizer to sink in nice and deep. The moisturizer that I love to use, and you will all know this if you watch my channel regularly, this is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. This is my all-time favourite moisturizer. It just for me is the best for sort of hydration, it's radiance boosting, and yeah, just everything about it. I love the scent of it, I love the finish on the skin, I love the way it makes my foundation sort of sit on top. I actually really need a new one because this one is like probably got about one more use left, let's be honest. I need to order that ASAP. But yeah, this is my all-time favourite moisturiser and I use it pretty much every single day underneath my foundation. So I'm just going to apply that all over the skin. This moisturiser does have SPF 15 as well, so if you're someone that likes to have a little bit of SPF in their moisturiser, this one has got you covered. Right, so now for primer, a kind of more recent discovery that I've really been loving, and I've really noticed a difference when I use this as opposed to when I don't use this in the longevity of my makeup and how my makeup sits on my skin. This is the Too Faced hangoverX primer. This is basically really good for sort of hydration and obviously as well making your makeup last a little bit longer. I would say this probably isn't the best primer if you've got more oily skin. Just as well, a little bit about my actual skin type. I do have quite normal skin. I am quite lucky in the fact that I have quite normal skin, but it does definitely get quite dehydrated and a little bit dry in areas as well. Anyways, this primer is really good for hydration, and I just like to use literally just one pump of this all over my skin before I apply my foundation, and I just find that it really helps with the longevity and just keeping my face nice and smooth as well. Now for the actual foundation, like my ultimate foundation go-to routine, I actually like to mix two foundations together. This isn't absolutely necessary, so if you're on a budget and you're looking to sort of invest in a foundation, you don't necessarily have to buy these two foundations. However, I have found that mixing the two together gives me, for me, the perfect kind of finish on what I want on my skin, and I do really enjoy mixing foundations. I'm often mixing foundations. It's very rare that I will just use one foundation because I always find I like kind of like different things about each foundation and I just want to combine them into one. So I always end up mixing my foundations, and the foundation combination that I've been using at the moment is first of all the Too Faced Born Born This Way foundation. This is more of a medium to full coverage foundation with more of a dewy finish, I would say, and I also love mixing it with the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk foundation. This one is more of a sort of light to medium coverage. It's more of a kind of, I would say, semi-matte finish on the skin. The reason why I love this one so much is the colour is literally insane. It's such a beautiful shade. I have this in 3.5, which is kind of my fake tan shade. This one is in the shade Porcelain, so it's a little bit lighter on the skin, colour-wise I'm talking about. So this one, if I don't have much tan on as well, will kind of like, the colours will come together and make a nice shade for me when I don't have much fake tan on. I take about 1.5 pumps of the Born This Way and the same with the Giorgio Armani. I probably do actually about 2 pumps with the Giorgio Armani, just because it's a little bit more runny and thin, so I just like to add a little bit more, and that will be enough to cover my whole face. So then I just mix them together on the back of my hand. So I'm just going to apply whatever's on my finger to my face, and then I just go straight on my hand with my beauty blender. I love to apply my foundation with my beauty blender. I find that it just blends my foundation the most seamlessly, and yeah, I find it more hygienic as well because I can clean this every single time I use it, and yeah, it just gives me the best application for foundation. If you watch my videos regularly, or you've watched my sort of previous few videos, you will have seen most of these products used in those videos. So I don't want to seem like I'm repeating myself too much, but I did want to just make a specific video just purely focusing on foundation, because I feel like sometimes people don't want to see the whole makeover and they just literally want to see, you know, certain areas. So I just thought this video would be helpful for anyone who is looking to sort of upgrade their foundation routine basically. So I'm just making sure I'm taking that all the way down my neck as well, just so that it all matches and all looks nice and blended. So I've just spent a little bit of time kind of pressing that into my skin with my damp beauty blender, just to make sure it's really sort of sunk into my skin and my foundation and my skin is now one, and not the foundation kind of sitting on the top and looking really cakey. I think it's really important to spend a little bit more time just blending in your foundation, just to make sure it's really kind of set and sunken into your skin, as opposed to just sitting on the top. So I always like to spend a few minutes just sort of pressing over, just to make sure it's all nice and blended and pressed in. So now for concealer, the concealer that I've absolutely been loving recently, and the one that has become my absolute new favourite for concealer, and I use it every single day. This one is the Born This Way concealer by Too Faced. I feel like this is just everything. I just absolutely love everything about it. It's so full coverage, yet it's still creamy. It blends really beautifully. It doesn't look cakey under the eyes. It doesn't crease on me. I think I already said that. But yeah, this concealer is just amazing. I have it in 2 shades. The shade that I'm going to use today is the shade Snow, because it's a little bit paler. I do have the shade Almond, which I use when I'm a little bit more tanned and I want that sort of less bright under eye. But today I feel like I want a little bit more of a brighter under eye, so I'm going to go in with the shade Snow. Just for me personally, I don't really use concealer on the rest of my face. I just use it under my eyes because I have really, really dark under eye bags, and I don't really suffer from blemishes or much kind of like redness on the rest of my face, so I just focus the concealer under my eyes mainly. I might take a little bit on my forehead, it depends how I'm feeling, but most of the time I just do it under my eyes. And I do use quite a generous amount because, as I did say, I have really dark under eyes, so I do need to, you know, cover them up because they are not cute. So I've obviously just put that in the kind of triangle shape under my eyes to highlight, and now I'm just going to go in and blend that out with the sort of smaller end of my beauty blender. And I kind of like to look up when I do this so that I really push it into that kind of crease under my eye and I don't get any kind of lines or anything. Right, so that is how my under eyes are looking without any kind of powder on top of them. I do always set my under eye concealer with a powder. 100% you need to do this, because if you don't do this, your concealer will crease. No matter what concealer you're using, it will sit in the kind of fine lines underneath your eyes. No matter what age you are, everyone has the little fine lines underneath their eyes, so you need to be setting your concealer with a powder, especially more of a full coverage one, because it does have the tendency to sit in the fine lines a little bit more. Oh, itchy nose. So the powder that I'm going to be using, and I know that I'm using a lot of Too Faced products at the moment, but I'm just obsessed with Too Faced. Everything I've tried from them has just been like amazing. I'm just blown away. This is the Born This Way Too Faced powder. This is a translucent one. So this is very, very lightweight, and it's perfect for sort of setting under eye concealer because it doesn't look cakey and sort of like too much powder underneath the eyes. I do like to apply this quite generously with my sponge as opposed to a brush. I find that when I press this in with a sponge, it just sets my concealer so much better and it does not crease at all. So what I like to do is just take a little bit of this in the lid. Oh, I'm getting it everywhere as usual. I just like to take a little bit of this in the lid. I take my sponge and just press out any little fine line creases that have already appeared under my eyes, just to make sure we're not setting those creases. We want to set a really nice smooth base. Then I'm just going to go in, press my beauty blender into the powder. So obviously there's quite a generous amount of powder on this sponge now, so what I like to do is just kind of press one press on and then one press on the other eye, and then I kind of go backwards and forwards and distribute the product evenly on both eyes and kind of press that powder right into that concealer. So as you can see, it has very, very slightly dulled the brightness of the concealer. It has very, very slightly darkened it, but that concealer shade that I used is very, very bright, so I'm not mad at that because it actually looks a little bit more natural now and it blends into my skin colour a little bit better as opposed to being like a white concealer. I do just like to take whatever's left on the sponge kind of around my chin, my nose and my smile lines, just because this is where I'll usually lose foundation the quickest throughout the day, like it will just disappear on my face. So I just like to powder those areas very slightly and then just do in between my brows as well. So that is basically my full kind of foundation, concealer and powder routine I've been loving at the moment. I'm just going to really quickly run through with you my bronzer, highlighter and blusher choices and what I've been absolutely loving at the moment as well. So for bronzer, I've been really loving the Charlotte Tilbury Bronze and Glow bronzer at the moment. I just feel like this is like the perfect colour for me. It blends really, really nicely and it just looks really, it looks really good on the skin. So I'm going to be taking my Charlotte Tilbury bronzer brush and I'm just literally going to bronze up my skin. Something that I always used to do is when I was doing my bronzer, I used to go like this and like move my face to the side so that I could sort of like have my face stretched a little bit and then the bronzer would apply a little bit more smooth, I guess. But I found that when I used to do that, I used to always get foundation sitting in my smile lines straight away. So try not to move your face too much when you're applying your bronzer and blush and things like that, because you're just going to disturb the foundation. And at this point, it still hasn't fully like dried down and kind of set into the skin. So you don't want to be moving your face and stretching your face too much when you're applying this, because it's going to just end up sitting in your smile lines if you have any. So just take a look on my forehead and on the tops of my cheeks. I do like to use quite a lot of bronzer because I am super pale. Just like to take a little bit on my nose as well, and then I'm just going to do a little on my jawline and bring that right down my neck. For blush, I've been really enjoying the Charlotte Tilbury blush in the shade First Love, which is a really pale blush and it doesn't look like it's going to do anything to the skin, but actually this gives a really beautiful kind of natural flush without looking too much, because I don't like a lot of blush. I'm quite a red person naturally, I blush quite easily, so I don't like applying too much blush. So I really, really like this one to just add a little bit of a natural flush to my cheeks. Now for highlight, I'm just going to go in with my Estee Lauder Bronze Goddess highlight. This is the best highlight I've probably ever used. Absolutely love it. It just gives me such a beautiful wet glow on my skin. I just can't ever get enough of this product. I freaking love it. I always end up putting on too much, but I'm not even sorry. Now what I like to do, and I really feel like this actually changes the game and really makes sure that your foundation lasts so long on the skin. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter Spray. This is such an oldie but a goodie, like this has been around for ages. Everyone knows that this is like the best setting spray ever. This really does hold my makeup on my face for a very long time, and I do notice that it doesn't last as long when I don't use this. So I like to spray quite a generous amount on my skin just at this point in my makeup, even though I am going to go off and do like my eyes and things in a minute. I do like to spray on at this point, and then I will go on and spray on at the end, just because I feel like it just helps to sort of mesh everything all together and makes my makeup blend really seamlessly. Just gonna drown my face in that, and then I just like to go in and fan my skin just so that it really pushes the product into the skin and sets it down nicely. Right, so I'm just going to go off camera now and quickly do my brows, my eyes and my lips, and then I'm going to come back to show you the finished look. Right, so as you can see, I've applied the rest of my makeup. I did take ages to do that because I was just like doing other stuff in between. So this foundation has now been on my skin for about probably over an hour, coming up to 2 hours now. So yeah, this is the sort of end finished result. Yeah, let me know if you like this kind of style of video where it's like more in-depth focus on like one area as opposed to full face, because I'd really be interested in doing that if that's something that you guys would enjoy. Like I could do like an eye one and a lip one. Just let me know in the comments if you like this video, or give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Also, please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That would be amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.